What is happening? AJ Gamer Dude here, and let's talk PC news because apparently that's what I've been talking about mostly for the last who knows how long, but let's just kind of jump into it with Steam reviews. So to be more precise, we're going to be talking about two stories regarding Steam reviews and how they've affected the game. First and foremost, let's jump into Helldivers 2. Now, this game, incredibly popular, did very well, so let's jump into why this particular thing was the subject of Steam review bombing to some extent. So for those of you guys that don't know, Helldivers 2, incredibly popular game, was released, and for 2 months later, Sony tried to toss in a mandate to say, look, if you want to play the game any further, you need to link your Steam account to a PSN account. Problem with that was that over 170 countries cannot create a PSN account because PSN is not available in those countries, and ultimately that caused Steam to remove the game from those 170 countries in the end. And so what ended up happening was a massive backlash. The Helldivers 2 PC community coming together and fighting back against Sony. And ultimately what ended up happening was the insane review bombing turned it into an actual, what made it look like an actual possible cape design. I wonder if I can actually find the image here. Might be easier just to go on to, because you can see like the red lines here. So the actual graph that shows the likes and not likes, rather the positive and negative reviews are shown, I think, on SteamDB. And so like there's like few blue lines going up, but there's like so many long red lines to show all of the negative reviews. And so that in and of itself is now being turned into an actual cape design. And there is a tease because you can kind of see the red lines here for like the negative reviews, the most negative reviews, so to speak. And then Johan Pilestad, I think, Pilestad? Anyway, Johan, the CEO of Arrowhead, was like, unironically looking at the actual graph and being like, this looks like a pretty good cape design, and it looks like he's actually going to be putting it into the game as an actual cape design by taking a graph of the negative reviews and tossing it on as like a way of showing solidarity with the PC community who have fought back against the whole PSN requirement. So I just thought that was like a really cool thing to talk about. A lot of people have already known about it, but it's worth talking about it to some capacity. And plus, I do actually have another story regarding Steam reviews that I wanted to talk about as well. And this one was news to me until I read it earlier this morning. Steam users are positively review bombing Hi-Fi Rush now Microsoft has closed Tango Gameworks. So yeah, we talked about negative review bombing, let's talk about positive review bombing. So for those of you guys that don't already know, Hi-Fi Rush released last year, January 2023, after the developer direct, or developer_direct, shadow dropped on Game Pass, and ultimately was a smashing success. It was a Game of the Year contender and had an extraordinarily high Metacritic. It was beloved by critics, beloved by fans, and had almost universal acclaim to it. Now, the game itself had pretty much peaked on Xbox, and ultimately this year we did get a release of Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation as well. So it was Xbox and PC last year, PlayStation 5 this year. And unfortunately, the studio was shut down earlier on in the month of May of 2024 because alongside 3 other Bethesda studios, but Tango Gameworks was definitely one of the most beloved that we have lost, and is unfortunate that it's the case. I mean, what more is there to really even say? So I'm actually quite surprised that like everyone is positively review bombing it. But yeah, again, just a few quotes to say what the words from Xbox about stuff like, when Aaron Greenberg, the vice president of Xbox game marketing, had insisted that Hi-Fi Rush, quote, was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with this surprise release, end quote. And so, you know, the closure of Tango Gameworks was very much shocking and surprising, given that Hi-Fi Rush was such a massive success. Either that, or we were lied to, or the whole idea of Xbox becoming the new Activision, the Activisification of Xbox. It's kind of like when McDonnell Douglas was bought by Boeing, except that it feels like while Boeing was the one who bought McDonnell Douglas Airlines, I feel like McDonnell Douglas was the main contributing factor to the most of the decision making of Boeing moving forward. So I feel like rather than the larger company buying the smaller company, I think it's the smaller company revolting against the larger company. Though with that being said, there are some actual rumors going around about how, well, this isn't actually a rumor, but the Xbox founders from like 2000 or 2001, I can't remember, but the guys who founded Xbox, who created the console initially, all are lamenting the fact that Xbox is losing its identity and that it's no longer Xbox anymore, but rather Microsoft Gaming, because the money given from Microsoft to the Xbox division to buy Activision is now coming back to haunt them, because Xbox now has to pay that money back. But if Xbox can't do that, then Microsoft will encroach on Xbox further. Yes, while Microsoft does own Xbox, it considers it to be a separate arm, but might be completely absorbed. We may no longer then have an Xbox, but rather Microsoft Gaming instead, which is an interesting idea and an interesting concept. And someone in my Xbox video that I talked about Xbox being a failure and all that did comment about the whole it turning into Microsoft Gaming, which I thought was an incredibly clever thing, until I saw what the Xbox founders were actually saying about it, and I thought, wow, that's actually a really good point, that Microsoft is intentionally putting the Xbox side in debt in order for it to be permanently owed back to Microsoft, and then Microsoft can fully absorb that arm of itself effectively, which sounds really weird, but I'm just theorizing in a conspiratorial way, you know, why they were given the okay to even purchase something like Activision Blizzard, or the Activisification of Xbox, where Xbox is actually slowly turning into Activision, because Call of Duty is such a massive moneymaker, and the fact that Call of Duty's success will cause the success of every other game to dwarf by comparison, and nothing will ever truly be worth it. So they're going to shut everything down, let go of all of their staff, and whoever they can absorb into other games, they're all going to absorb into the Call of Duty meat machine to make more money effectively. But that's kind of all I really have to say for this video. Let me know what you guys think about Steam reviews in general, or anything else that I've talked about. With all that being said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.